Well, it's election time once again, and you know what that means. It means that we're all going to have to suffer through one politician after another politician promise us more free stuff than his opponent so that he can get elected because he is so magnanimous. He's going to give us everything for free. Well, there's some economics behind this. The government can never give society more than it takes from society. In fact, it always has to take far more from society than it can give back, simply because of all the frictional losses that go on inside of government. And I'm going to get into that, but whenever you hear a politician promise this new program and this new spending bill, just realize that he has, he's promising you this with one hand, but his other hand is in your pocket looking for your wallet. So be very careful for what you vote for, because you may just get it. The economics of government is basically that there are a lot of government employees, and they take taxes from us, but all of those people have to get paid. There's buildings, there's costs, there's energy, and these politicians are telling you that they're going to give you this supposedly free stuff. And unless it actually grows on your front doorstep, and you can open up the front door and you can go, oh, a bunch of free stuff that the government just gave me. It's just right here. And it grew there all on its own. If somebody actually has to work for that and they have to create it, then they have to get paid. And that payment has to come from somewhere. But there's a whole lot less to pay that person if it goes through the hands of a bunch of wealth redistributors. And that is basically what the government is. They're in the business of coercively redistributing our wealth. A couple of years ago, back in 2016, I did a series of videos on Brexit, and buried within one of those videos was a little lesson on the economics of government. I hope you enjoy this. Now, as you're watching this, look at the green arrows. It starts out as a very large arrow that's very dark, intense green, and the arrow shrinks and becomes a more and more faded green, and that represents the purchasing power and the frictional losses as that purchasing power, that value that came from the population in taxes, goes through the government system and experiences all the losses. When it finally comes spitting out the other end, you'll see what happens. Just take a look. This is the happy taxpayer. And the taxpayer every now and then has to pay tax to some government agency, whether it's local, state, or federal. We'll call this the IRS. But at the IRS, there are thousands of people that work for it, and there are thousands of support staff that do things like maintain the building and all of the other goods and services that are required to run some agency like the IRS. And let's not forget the attorneys that help to come up with these laws and enforce these laws. And what is left is then turned over to the Treasury, and there's people there that have to get paid too. And what's left after that goes to Congress, and now Congress is all these congressmen and senators and all of their support staff. The congressmen and senators, they're going to spend months and months arguing about whether or not to create some new agency and some new spending bill because they want to stimulate the economy and they want to help all of us. And there's all those aides, and then there's support staff that all have to get paid. And then what's left over goes to the White House. And over at the White House, there's going to be a group of people that are going to argue whether or not the president should sign this new bill into law. But the president always does, because if you create a new agency or do something, it looks like you are helping the people and you're living up to all those promises that you made when you were running for office. And then what's left over goes to create some new government agency. So here's a brand new department. And this is the administrative offices in Washington, D.C. So we've got these big buildings filled with thousands of people again, and all of the support staff required to maintain that department, and then what comes out of that goes to some state branch of that department. But that also has multiple layers of bureaucracy, and it's got a support staff that's required to keep things running. And finally, it gets to the local level, where a tiny little bit comes spitting out to pay some teacher. Now, this could be something that is currently running, like the education system, but it could also be some brand new thing like the Department of Homeland Security or the TSA. My point here, though, is you pay a whole lot more going in than what comes out, always, because you've got these thousands of people that all have to have a tiny microscopic bit of your taxes, but it adds up as you go past person after person after person in government. This adds up to quite a sum, and so it's impossible for the government to ever give us anything without great cost. What if we could just pay that teacher directly? And through the free market, you can do things like this. What you get then is more teachers and higher quality teachers. We could have this, but we don't. We choose to always go. We want the government to take care of things for us, to make things better, and the government can't. So the next time you hear a politician promising you something for free, just remember the economics of government. That politician actually has one hand in one of your pockets taking $2 while he's holding a dollar bill up in front of your face promising he's going to give you that one for free. Any politician that does not understand that he has to steal something from one group of people in order to give it to another doesn't understand any of the economics, so basically he's an economic moron. Or he does understand it and he's lying, and most of them are just lying. So basically, when you go to your polling place in this election, just remember, your choices are between morons and liars. Thank you very much for listening. If you got anything from this video, please give it a thumbs up, click that little notification bell, and share it with anybody that you can. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
At goldsilver.com, we have a price match guarantee, free shipping, and global storage options. Get the best-selling book, Guide to Investing in Gold and Silver, for free at goldsilver.com.